So today's class we'll discuss about what? The behavior part. A behavior of a class can be represented by using these three things. We can represent the behavior of a class. One is by using methods. Second thing is by using constructor. One is by using method. Second thing is by using constructor. And third thing is what? By using block. Okay. So behavior of a class can be described by using a method, by using a constructor, and by using what? A block. So by using these three things, we can represent the behavior of a class can be represented. Behavior of a class can be what? Represent. Okay. So let's see the first one. What is the first one? Method. Let's see the first one. What is the first one? Method. Let's see here. What is a method? What is what? Method. So method is a special named block in Java. Method means what? Nothing but it's a method is a named block. Method is a named block in Java. Method is what? It's a named block in Java. Okay. So if you want to specify the syntax, if you want to specify for the method, return type you have to specify. I'm specifying here. I'm using a term called basic syntax. Basic syntax of creating a method. The original syntax of method declaration is completely different. So still we are not discussed that much depth, like what is access specifiers, what is access modifiers and all. So as of now, remember what is the basic syntax of creating a method is nothing but we had to specify the return type, and we had to specify a method name, we had to specify. First thing is nothing but what? We had to specify the return type, we had to specify. Then after that, we had to configure the method name, we had to configure. So once again, first thing we had to configure the return type. Then after that, we had to configure the method name, we had to configure. We had to configure what? The method name we had to configure. Then after that, we had to configure the input parameters we had to configure. Return type, method name. Input parameter 1, input parameter 2, like this. You can configure the number of input parameters you have to configure here. Input parameter 1, input parameter 2. Like this, you can configure n number of input parameters you can configure here. This is the syntax of creating a method. This is the syntax of creating a method. We had to add a return type, we had to add. If the method is having any returning a value, then we have to specify the return value. Execute some logic in this method. Return some particular value. This is what? The basic syntax of creating a method. Okay. Return type, method name. The method is having any input parameters, you can configure the input parameters, you can configure. Okay. Method is a named block. Each and every method represents a specific task. Each and every method will represent a specific task. Each and every method will represent a specific task. Okay. And the third thing is nothing but what is the need of going for the methods? What is the need of going for these methods is nothing but the need of using methods is nothing but code reusability. Code reusability is the main purpose of creating the methods. Why we had to create the methods? Why can't you write the entire program into a single? Why can't you write the complete code into a single program? Main advantage is nothing but what? Code reusability is the main advantage of creating the methods, or main purpose of creating the methods. Code reusability is the main purpose of creating the methods. There is a main advantage, code reusability. Okay. Let's see here. We'll try to create some methods. First of all, we'll try to understand what is the need of going for methods. And there are two types of methods are there. There are two types of methods. The two types of methods are nothing but, one is the instance methods. One is what? The instance methods. Second thing is nothing but static methods. There are two types of methods. One is instance methods is one thing. One more thing is what? Static methods is another approach. Instance methods and static methods. These are the two types of methods are available. Two types of methods. Okay. So let's see here. First, what is the need of going for methods? How to create a basic method. Then after that, we'll see a parameterized method and method with return type. We'll discuss all these things. We'll discuss in the today's class. Okay. Give me a minute. I'll start this Windows VirtualBox. Because I'm using a Mac, so the Mac command prompt, everything is different. That's why I'm explaining in Windows. I'm explaining here. So first we'll try to understand what is the need of going for a method. What is the need of going for a method? I'm creating a simple Java program I'm creating here. File new. Let's take a Java program. Okay. And specifying the class name as, let's take, I'm specifying the class name as arithmetic test is a class. I'm creating a class. What is the class name? Arithmetic test is a class name. What is the class name? Arithmetic test is a class. In this arithmetic test class, we know that execution of a Java program is going to start with what? Main method. Execution of a program, Java program is going to start with what? Main method. In this main method, what I'm doing is, I'm taking two values. I'm taking here two numbers. I'm taking int. We discussed, right, the day before yesterday classes. If you declare a variable inside a method, we call as what? It's a local variable. Local variable should be initialized. And where the memory will be allocated for the local variable? In stack. In stack frame, in JVM memory unit stack frame, the memory will be allocated for these local variables. Okay, I created some, I'm storing some variables I'm storing here. Int A, meaning for this address location, we are giving a name we are giving for the address location. What is the name we configured? A. I configured the value as 23 is the value I configured. Declaring one more variable and declaring here int B is equals to nothing but 46 or 45. So what I want to do is, I want to do the sum for these two numbers. I want to print. Okay. So here system.out.println, or you can take one more number. You can take here C is equals to A plus B, meaning int C is equals to A plus B. Meaning we are doing sum of these two numbers. We are doing a sum of these two numbers, and that value we are storing into what? Into C. We are storing these values. This A and B value we are storing. We are performing some operation. We are storing these values. We are storing into what? Into C. We are storing this value. Okay. So if you want, you can write this C value. You can print here. Let's take If you want, you can write here, because we know, right? If you want to print anything on the console, we have to write this system.out.println of system.out.println of. I'm writing here. I'm printing this C value. I'm printing here system.out.println of C. So it's going to perform the sum of these two numbers. That value we stored into C, we stored integer type, and we are printing that out value we are printing. Let's say the program where you saved, in the C drive, I created a folder I created called Java 9:30 p.m. is a folder I created. Java 9:30 p.m. In this Java 9:30 p.m. I'm saving this file. I'm saving here arithmetic test.java. This is what the name we configured for the file, right? Let's save the file name. ARITHEMETIC arithmetic test.java. Let's say the file name with the name called arithmetic test.java. Arithmetic test.java. So I saved the Java file I saved. Let's go to the command prompt. Move to the particular location where the Java file is located. cd space Java 9:30 p.m. In this particular location, I saved the file. I saved in this particular location. I saved the file Java 9:30 p.m. Okay. So right here, Java C. I want to compile the Java code. I want to compile the Java code. I want to compile. What is the Java class name? We have to configure this Java class name. We have to specify. What is the name of the class? Arithmetic test.java. So let's see here, arithmetic test.java. Click on enter. Okay, successfully your code is compiled. The code is compiled. If you want to see the output, if you want to see here, Java write arithmetic test. Java arithmetic test. Click on enter. So you got the sum. When your code is successfully compiled, your program is successfully compiled, we got the output we got, 68 is the output we got. We are performing the sum of these two numbers. Okay, my requirement is I want to perform the sum for two more numbers I want to perform the sum operation. This addition operation I want to perform for two more numbers, I want to perform the addition operation. If you want to perform the addition operation for two more numbers, again we have to take one more integer variable we have to take. Let's say, for example, int x is equals, for example, I configured 60 and int y is equals to I configured. So 1 second, just. So int y is equals to I configured as 90 I configured. X is equals to 60 and y is equals to 90 I configured, and perform the sum operation for these two things. Int z is equals to what? X plus y. Int z is equals to x plus y. So meaning I'm performing the sum for these two numbers and I'm storing that result. I'm storing into z, I'm storing that result. I'm storing that result, I'm storing into what? Into z, I'm storing that result. If you want to print the value, you can write system.out.println of. System.out.println of, you can print this z value, you can print. Let's say you want to perform the sum operation for, once again you want to perform for two more numbers, you want to perform the sum operation. Two more numbers, you want to perform the sum operation, you want to perform for two more numbers. Then again we'll write int, let's say for example, p is equals to, again 99, int q is equals to, configured 1 I configured. Again I'm writing here, r is equals to, for example, p plus q. Like this, for example, we are taking the multiple integer types we are taking here, performing the sum operation, and we are printing the value. Meaning, we written the logic for 3 times, we written the logic. So I'm writing here, system.out.println of r, I'm writing r. So we written the logic for 3 times, we written the logic. The same logic written three times, written the logic. I'm printing the sum here, I'm printing the z value, I'm printing here, and r value I'm printing here. So meaning there is no code reusability here. What we are doing is the same code, whatever we are written here, We are writing the logic again and again. We are writing the same logic. We are writing again and again. The main drawback with this approach is nothing but there is no code reusability. We are not reusing the code. We are writing that same logic. We are writing again and again. We are writing the same logic. We are writing. This is the problem without the methods. This is the problem without what? Without the methods. Let's say the program. Now compile this one and run the program. Java C arithmetic test.java, arithmetic test.java, Java arithmetic test. So we got first two numbers sum, we got 68. Second two numbers sum, we got 150. And third two numbers sum, we got 100. We got 100. We got. Okay. So here you understand, right? You understand what is the problem here? This is without methods. This is without methods. The problem is nothing but we are writing the same code. The duplicate code we are writing again and again. We are writing the same code we are writing here. So this is a problem here, the code duplication. Code duplication is the main problem in this without methods. So is there any chance to reuse the code? I don't want to create this same logic again. I don't want to create this logic. Is there any chance to reuse that code? Yes. There is a chance to reuse the code by creating the methods. By creating the methods, we can reuse that code. We can reuse by creating the methods. Okay. Let's see here. What is the method syntax? The basic method syntax is nothing but we had to specify the return type. We had to specify. We had to specify what? A return type. We had to specify. For example, assume that my method is not returning anything. If you want, you can specify as a void. You can specify. I want to create a method. I want to create that method is not returning anything. It's not giving anything, returning anything. So simply at that time we can specify as what? As void we can specify. And I'm giving the method name I'm specifying here. The sum is a method name I'm configuring here. Void space sum is a method name I'm configuring. Okay. The method syntax is nothing but first thing we had to configure the return type. We had to configure. Next after that we had to configure what? We had to configure the method name. We had to configure. What is the method name we configured? Sum is a method name we configured. If the method is taking any input parameters, let's configure the parameters. See in this one, if it takes all these three functionalities, what we are doing here, we are taking two numbers we are taking and we are performing the sum operation. We are printing the result. We are taking two numbers we are performing the sum operation, we are printing the result. We are taking the two numbers, performing the sum operation and printing the result. So we are doing the same process we are doing again and again. Take two numbers, perform the sum and print the result. I'm creating a method I'm creating called sum is a method. This sum method is taking two parameters as input. For example, one is A is an input parameter. Second thing is nothing but what? B is another input parameter. This particular method is taking how many parameters as input? Two parameters it is taking as a input. It's taking what? Two numbers it is taking as input. We specify the type as int is the type we specified. We specify the type as what? Int is the type we specified. So it's going to take two numbers as input it will take. Simply what I'm doing is here, I'm writing system.out.println of system.out.println of, I'm writing here A plus B, I'm writing here. Here the plus will work as a concatenation operator in case of string, and it will work as a arithmetic operator, addition operator. One second. So this in this particular statement, this plus will act as a concatenation operator as well as addition operator. If you are using this plus, if you are using for number type, if you are using this plus, if you are using for number type, it will work as an addition operator, not as a concatenation operator. Work as what? As an addition operator. Okay. So we are performing this sum operation and we are printing that value. We are printing. So we created a method called sum method, meaning what it is telling is If you give the two numbers, if you give to that method, automatically that method will perform the sum operation. It's going to give the result. Meaning again and again, you need to write the same logic. You need to write again and again. It's not required to write this logic again and again. Okay, but let's see here. Meaning what I want to tell you is, first, rather than using this, performing the sum operation and printing the result, you take that risk. Let's simply call this method called sum method. Call this method called what? Sum method, called sum of a comma b. Meaning these two numbers, this 23 and 45, these two numbers we are sending these two numbers, we are sending as a parameters. As a parameters to what? For this sum method, we are sending these two parameters. If you want to perform the sum operation for this x comma y, again call sum of x comma y. You will no need to print the result here, because all the result automatically we are printing in the sum method. We are printing the result we are printing here. Okay, we are taking the two numbers and we are calling the sum method. Take the two numbers, call the sum method. PQ. Here also you can call what? The sum method you can call here. Sum of p dot p comma q. Sum of p comma q. Okay. So we are calling the particular method we are calling. We are calling the particular method we are calling, and we are performing the sum operation, and we are printing that value we are printing here. We are performing that sum operation we are performing, and we are printing that result we are printing on the console. Okay. But see here, you're going to get an error. You're going to get. Let's say the program. And compile the program here. Java C arithmetic tester.java. See here, we got the exception. We got errors. We got here error. Non-static method sum of int comma int cannot be referred from a static context. Cannot be referred from a static context. Meaning you cannot access the non-static method. You cannot access inside the static method. You cannot access. See, even this main also one method, right? Even this main also one method. What kind of method this main method is? It's a static method. It's what? It's a static method. I told you, right? There are two types of methods are there. One is a static method. Second thing is instance method or non-static method. If this method is declared as static, it's going to become as a static method. If this method is declared as a static, then the method will become as what? As a static method. We'll see what exactly this static method. Still, I have not discussed about the static modifier still. Okay, we'll discuss about in depth about the static modifier. So there are two types of methods are there. If the method is declared with static, then that is called as static method. If the method is not declared with static, that is called as what? It's an instance method. It is what? It's a instance method. If you want to access this instance method, if you want to access the instance methods, we had to create an object for that particular class. We had to create an object. I'll repeat again. If you want to access that instance method, we had to create an object for that particular class. We have to create an object. So you want to call this sum method you want to call, right? You want to call this sum method you want to call. If you want to call this sum method, we had to create an object for that particular class. We had to create the object. We had to create an object for that particular class. We had to create the object. With the help of that object only, we can call this method. We can call. That's what we call as instance. Meaning we had to create the object for the particular class to call that method. Okay. It's not required to create the multiple objects. Only one object is sufficient. I'm creating the object I'm creating here. Arithmetic test is equals to new yesterday we seen, right? Now last class we seen what happens when you write this statement. What happens when you write this statement? It's going to create an object. It is going to create an object will be create for this class in the JVM heap memory. That particular object is pointing from the main method. That particular object is pointing from the main method with the help of a reference. What is the reference variable name we specified? 80 is a reference name we specified. So if you want, you have to call these methods as 80.sum of a comma b, sum of x comma y, and 80.sum of p comma q. Okay, so 80.sum of what? A comma b, sum of x comma y, sum of p comma q. Let's say the program. Let's say the program. Compile it and run the program. Now compile it. Java C arithmetic test.java Java arithmetic test. So you got the output equal. Meaning what we are doing is here is nothing but what you're doing here. What is the need of going for methods? The need of going for methods is nothing but the code reusability. Meaning we are reusing the code. We are reusing the code. We are reusing by using what? By using the methods concept. Like this, you can call some lakhs of times. You can call. You can call n number of times. You can call this method. You can call. That is the main purpose. The main purpose is what? One is what? The code reusability. You can reuse that code because you can call this method again and again. You can call n number of times. You can call that method. If you want, you can make it more simplify this one. Rather than taking a separate variables here, rather than taking a separate integer variables and accessing this one, then you can configure the numbers. You can configure here directly. Directly you can configure the numbers. You can configure here 45, 23, 24 like that, 60, 90. Okay. Arithmetic test is equals to new arithmetic test. You can make it, we are making it simplify. We are simplifying this one. Okay. So we are calling this particular method, we are calling here 80.sum of, meaning we are sending this 45 and 23 we are sending. Meaning 45 is going to be set in the A value and this 23 is going to be set into what? Into B value, 23 will be set into the B value. Okay, it's going to perform the sum operation. It is printing the result will be printing here. Like the second time, 60 we are sending as a first parameter, A value. 90 is going to be replaced with what? With the second parameter, B. It's going to print the value. Like this, you can call n number of times. You can call this sum method. You can call n number of times. Let's save the program. Let's save the program. Compile and run the program. Java C arithmetic test.java Java arithmetic test. So we got 68, 150, and 100. We got. Okay. So you understand, right? What is the need of going for methods? The need of going for methods is nothing but the code reusability. You can reuse that code. You can reuse by using this methods concept. And the method will represent about what? A specific task. This particular is representing about a specific task called performing a sum operation. This particular method is created without any return type. If you want, you can take a snapshot of this one, a snapshot, a photo, or if you want, you can note down this one because I'm going to modify something in this program. I hope you noted, right? I hope you noted this program. If you're not having that much time, just take a snapshot in your phone. So later you can write clearly, you can write the program, you can write later. Okay. So you understand what is the main purpose of creating the method? What is the main purpose? The code reusability. You can reuse that. The same code you can reuse multiple times. You can reuse that code we can reuse. The before method, the same logic we written three times we written the same logic. but now we created only one time we return and we are calling this one. And this particular method is called as what? It's a instance method. It's an instance method, meaning we had to create the object we had to create. We had to create the object for that particular class. We had to create the object to access this instance method. So this is without any return type. Without any return type. Then what's mean by with return type? With return type in the sense nothing but, see, we are sending a values we are sending here. These two values we are sending as the input parameter for the sum method. So it is calculating that sum and it is going to print the value. It is not giving any value to you. If you want, you can write here, for example, I'm expecting the sum of two numbers I'm expecting here. Let's take int s is equals to I specified arithmetic test dot sum I'm calling here. 80 dot sum of 45 comma 23 I'm calling here. This particular method I'm calling. You're going to get the sum, you are going to get the addition of the two numbers. That addition of two numbers I'm holding into integer, I'm holding the addition of two numbers. That addition of two numbers I'm holding into int, I'm holding the addition of two numbers. Save the program and you're going to get an error you are going to get. See here, now you're going to get an error you will get. What is the error you will get? Java C arithmetic tester.java. See, we got an error we got. Incompatible types void cannot be converted to what? Int. Incompatible types we got. Void cannot be converted into what? Into int. Because we are calling this method we are calling here. This method is not giving any value to you. This method will not give any value to you. If it is giving any value to you, then we had to add the return type we had to add here. If this particular method is giving any value to you, we had to add the return type we had to add here. Okay. So void means nothing but empty. It is not giving any value. It is not giving to you. Okay. Now here, instead of void, I want to give some particular value I want to give when someone calls this method, some method. So I changing the return type I'm changing here. Instead of void, I'm specifying the type as what? Int is the type I configured. Instead of void, I changed the type as what? Int is the type I changed. Int is the type I changed. So if this method is written any particular statement except void, if this particular method is specified with any return type, if this particular method is specified with any return type except void, in this method, we had to add the return parameter we had to add here. In this particular method, we had to add what? The return statement we had to add. We had to add the return statement. What you want to return? I want to return this A plus B. Meaning whatever the numbers you are giving as a input, whatever the numbers you are giving as a input, it is performing, it is addition, it's doing addition for the two numbers, and it is giving that value to you. It is returning that value to you. If you send two parameters, it is performing the sum operation, it is returning that value, it is returning to you. So now here, when you call this particular method, 80.sum, you're going to get some result you are going to get. Because this method, if you give these two numbers, if you are giving to this particular method, sum method, what is giving here? It is returning that values, it is returning to you. It is returning the values, it is returning to you. The sum of these two numbers, that particular value is returning to you. So I'm holding that particular addition of two numbers. I'm holding into an integer type, I'm holding here, int of yes. Like this. Okay. So here also you're going to get, when you call this 80.sum, it's going to take, this method will take these two parameters as input. It's going to perform the sum operation for these two numbers, and it is going to return the return value it's going to give to you. The sum of the two numbers, that return value it's going to give to the method. Meaning wherever you are calling this particular method, there you are going to get that return value you are going to get. The return value also, what kind of value you will get? Int type only you will get. Okay. Specifying here int, for example, p. So I'm declaring some variables, a reference. We already discussed in the last classes what is this yes int z. When you declare int, if you specify, it's going to allocate 4 bytes of space. We are giving a name for this 4 bytes of space as s, p, z and all. Okay. You want, you can print the values, you can print here. Writing system.out.println. System.out.println of. Let's print the s value. So 1 second, just system.out.println of yes. Print the s value, print the p value, and print the z value. S value, p value, and z value. Let's save the program. Let's save the program, compile it, and run the program. Java C arithmetic test.java. Java arithmetic test. We got some, we got 68, 150, and 100 we got. Okay. This is a method without any return type. This is method, sorry. This is a method with return type. Earlier we seen the methods without any return type. So we specified the void. So we are printing the result. It's here itself. We are printing the value. It's not giving any value to you. But now this particular method is declared with the return type as int. Meaning if you give two numbers, if you give as input for this method, you are going to get one number. You are going to get as a return value. You are going to get this method. Okay. This is the methods with return type and without return type. With return type and without return type. Let me know if you have any doubts on this one, because I told you that it's a basic syntax. It's a basic syntax. We'll see about this complete syntax. We'll see once after discussing about the access modifiers like public, private, protected, default, what is static, what is abstract, what is final. We discuss about all these parameters. We'll discuss. Then after that, we'll see the complete syntax of creating a method. But remember, as of now, this is a method syntax. We had to specify the return type. The return type is declared. We had to return the value. We had written that particular value has to be returned. Okay. If there is no return value, simply declare as what? As a void we will declare. Okay. If it is void, then you don't need to write any return value is not required. Okay. Next. So no queries, right, about these methods. Methods with return type is seen. This is methods with return type. If it is returning any value, you have to hold that value. You have to hold. If it is not returning any value, no need to hold. Right? So next, the next thing is nothing but behavior of a class. We are discussing about the behavior of a class. We are discussing a behavior of a class can be represented by using behavior of a class can be represented by using what? Methods. That is all the first thing we see. What is the next one? Constructor. A behavior of a class can be represented by using method and constructor. So put heading what exactly constructor is. We'll see. We'll discuss about the static methods when we're discussing about the static modifier. Now we've seen about the instance methods. Instance method is nothing but a method. If the method is not declared with static, that is called as what? Instance method. For calling the instance methods, we had to create an object. We had to create for that particular class. With the help of object, we can call that particular method. We can call. With the help of the object, we can call that particular method. We can call. Okay, got it right? Yeah. So next thing is nothing but constructor. Let's see what exactly constructor is. So what exactly constructor is? So constructor is a special named block with the class name. Constructor is a special named block with the class name. Constructor is a special named block with the class name. Meaning if you create a block, if you create with the same name, what you specified for the class. If you create a method, if you create with the same name, what you specified for your class, then it's called as what? Constructor. And constructor is a part of object creation. Constructor is a part of object creation. It's a part of object creation, meaning whenever you create an object for any class, so it's going to call the constructor will be called. It's a part of our object creation. Okay, so explicitly we cannot invoke the constructor. Explicitly we cannot invoke the constructor. Explicitly we cannot invoke the constructor. As a special named block, it's a special named block with the class name. It's a part of object creation. And explicitly we cannot invoke the constructor. We cannot call explicitly. Automatically it's going to call. When you create the object, automatically the constructor will be called. Okay, next, constructor will not have a return type. Return type is not applicable for constructor. Return type is not applicable for constructor. Return type is not applicable for constructor. Return type is not applicable for what? Constructor. Next, we can send the parameters to a constructor. We can send the parameters. We can send the parameters as an input to what? We can send parameters as input to what? Constructor. We can send parameters as input to what? For constructor, we can send the parameters, we can send as an input, we can send the parameters, we can send as an input. Okay, let's see what exactly this constructor is. What exactly the constructor is. What is the first statement I specified here? It's a special named block. It's a special named block with the class name. Meaning if you create a block, if you create with the same class name, then it's called as constructor. See, in this program, what we created, arithmetic test we created, correct or not? Arithmetic test is a class we created. Arithmetic test is a class we created, right? In this particular class, if you create a method, if you create one method, if you create with the same class name, it is called as what? Constructor. It is called as what? Constructor. So constructor, we cannot apply the return type, we cannot apply for constructor. We cannot apply a return type, we cannot apply for constructor, we cannot apply the return type, we cannot apply. And even the access modifiers like like static, abstract, final, there are some modifiers are there. These kind of modifiers is also not applicable for constructor. So, okay, I'm creating one block I'm creating here with the same class name, arithmetic. Anyway, return type is not applicable for constructor. No need to specify this. Arithmetic test. Arithmetic test. If you create a block, if you create with the same name, it is called as what? Constructor. It's called as what? Constructor. Just what I'm doing is, in this constructor, I'm writing a message I'm writing here. System.out.println. I'm writing system.out.println message I'm writing here. I'm from constructor. Just I'm writing a system.out.println statement I'm writing here. What is the statement I'm writing here? I am from constructor. if you create a block, if you create one block, if you create with the same name, with the same class name, then it is called as what? Constructor. That's what the first statement I mentioned here. It's a special named block with the class name. Special named block with the class name. That's what first thing I configured. Second thing is nothing but it's a part of object creation. This constructor is a part of object creation, meaning separately no need to call the constructor. We no need to call the constructor separately. It's a part of what? Our object creation. See here, are you calling this constructor anywhere? Okay, for example, here we are calling the sum method, we are calling sum. Three times we are calling the sum method, we are calling. So it's going to execute that. Sum method will be execute for 3 times, the sum method will be execute. But are you calling this anywhere? Are you calling this constructor? Are you calling anywhere here? No, right? We are not calling anywhere, we are not calling the constructor, but simply we created the object. We created the object for this arithmetic test, we created the object we created. We created what? Object we created for this arithmetic test, we created an object we created. Constructor is nothing but it's a part. It's a part of object creation. This is what the statement is used for creating the object, right? Whenever you create an object, automatically this particular constructor will be invoked automatically. Whenever you create an object, automatically the constructor will be invoked. If you want, let's see here, I create a constructor I created, and simply we are creating the object we are creating for this particular class. We are creating an object we are creating here. Now say the program, compile it and run the program. Java C arithmetic test.java Java arithmetic test. See, first one, which one is executed here? First, which one is executed? I am from constructor, meaning first constructor is executed. Before calling the methods only, first constructor is what? Executed. Then after that, remaining methods are called. So constructor is a part of object creation. Explicitly, we cannot call that constructor, we cannot call explicitly. Explicitly, we cannot call the constructor. Whenever you create an object for any particular class, this particular statement, internally in this particular statement, I'm showing here again. Internally in this particular statement, what you're writing here, it will invoke the default constructor. That's what we are calling here. New arithmetic test. When you write this statement, new of arithmetic test, it is going to call this a default constructor will be called. It is going to call this default constructor will be called. So got it? Meaning when you write this statement, internally the meaning of this statement is nothing but it is calling at this particular statement, it is calling this no argumented constructor or default constructor will be called. Okay. And one important statement here, that is nothing but by default every class will have a default constructor. By default every class will have a default constructor. By default, every class will have a default constructor. What is the meaning of this statement? By default, every class will have a default constructor. Okay, you said, boss, when you write this statement, new of arithmetic test, it is going to invoke that this particular constructor will be invoked. What happens if this constructor is not created, for example? Meaning it's going to give any error in the program? For example, okay, I have not created the constructor I have not created. I have not created the default constructor I have not created. It's going to give any error here in this particular statement? Because I tell you that this particular statement is going to will invoke that default constructor will be invoked. But are you created the default constructor here? No, right? We have not created that one. Even it's not required to create. By default, every Java program, whether you created a constructor or not created a constructor, By default, every Java program will have a constructor. Will have a constructor. Whenever you write this statement, it is going to invoke the default constructor will be invoked. And if you want to provide your own functionality, if you want to provide, then you have to provide the implementation for that particular constructor, and you have to write the logic, whatever the logic you want to perform in this one. Okay. So if you want, you can take a snapshot of this one, the photo of this, or from the same time, send me your mail IDs in the chat box. Send me your mail IDs in the chat box. So whatever the programs I'm writing here, so these programs I'll upload into the drive folder. So after the class, you can download the examples. You can download from the drive folder. Okay. So share your mail IDs. If you want, you can take a snapshot of this one, this program, what we written. We created one constructor we created, and we created one method we created because sum is a method we created in this class, arithmetic test class. So no need to be called constructor separately. It's a part of your object creation. It's a part of your object creation. Constructor will be invoked. The methods we have to call explicitly. The main advantage of creating a constructor is nothing but what? Sorry. Main advantage of creating the methods is nothing but what? Code reusability. Okay. So yeah. So let me know if you have any queries in the today's class. Still, we have not closed the constructor part. Just we started the discussion. So in the next class, we'll see about this parameterized constructors, parameterized constructor. Okay. And what is the difference between method and constructor? So, and what is mean by, yeah, these topics basically. Okay. Difference between method and constructor. We'll discuss that one. We'll discuss one of the major thing, and how to give a input parameters to a constructor. So these kind of concepts we'll discuss in the next class. Okay. So tomorrow also I'll take the class. Tomorrow I'll take the class at the same time. Okay. Okay then. Thank you guys. Let me know if you have any queries. Otherwise, I'll close the session now. No queries, right? Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thank you. I'll create a drive folder and I'll share the drive folder to you. Okay, you'll find the examples in the drive folder. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thank you.